The Stranger, which arrives in UK cinemas April 10th, is the first film by prolific French filmmaker Francois Ozon that I've properly engaged with despite his rather steady output, having released the film almost every year since 2019's By the Grace of God, which in a way makes him the French equivalent of Woody Allen, minus all that icky stuff. However, The Stranger, as adapted from Albert Camus's 1942 novella, is one I was particularly interested in, as it presents a moral dilemma centered on emotional detachment that invites interpretation through a neurodivergent lens. Benjamin Voisin plays Merceau, a man in 1930s French-occupied Algiers who begins the film in prison for murdering an Arab man, and through flashbacks we see his indifferent response to his mother's death and experiencing the subsequent funeral with similar emotional neutrality, which continues back home where he reconnects with Rebecca Marder as Old Flame Marie, passively observing his friend Raymond, played by Pierre Latin, abuse his mistress, and ignoring the cruelty shown toward a neighbour's dog. And his detachment persists even during the murder itself, which unfolds without clear motive or emotional shift. The central question becomes whether Merceau is a sociopath or simply misunderstood, and while Ozon doesn't offer a definitive answer, the ambiguity opens space for alternative interpretations, including that of neurodivergent conditions such as autism. Contrary to stereotypes often reinforced by characters like Sheldon Cooper from The Big Bang Theory, autistic individuals are not devoid of empathy, but may struggle to express it conventionally, a concept known as double empathy, which suggests a mutual disconnect in emotional understanding between neurodivergent and neurotypical people. And Merceau's behaviour aligns with this concept, as his apparent apathy may stem from difficulty processing and expressing emotions rather than the complete absence of feeling. Though likely coincidental given the era of the original text, reading Merceau through this lens is compelling as it reframes his perceived coldness as potential misinterpretation, highlighting how society might wrongly judge those who communicate differently, a perspective that adds depth to a narrative already rooted in existential and nihilistic themes. From a filmmaking standpoint, Ozon crafts a visually striking work with stark monochrome cinematography, suggesting a suppressed emotional depth beneath Merceau's surface, while Voisin's restrained performance reinforces this ambiguity, revealing fleeting glimpses of humanity while maintaining emotional opacity. It isn't without flaws, such as a somewhat forced subplot addressing French colonial attitudes and a deliberate slow pace that may test patience, but the 4-star Stranger remains a thought-provoking adaptation that raises compelling questions about empathy, perception, and the consequences of misunderstanding, particularly when shown through the lens of neurodivergence, which, whether intentional or not, make it a fascinating cinematic exploration. Visit the Film Feeder website to read my more detailed review, but for now, thanks for watching, please like and subscribe for more reviews, and I'll see you next time.